Do you ever feel like you are stuck in a loop, just watching your own life play out on repeat? You have goals, you have ambitions. You know there's more out there for you, but day after day you just can't seem to make any real progress. It feels like you're running on a treadmill, you're putting in all this effort, but you're not actually going anywhere. You end the day exhausted, right back where you started, and you can't help but wonder, what is wrong with me? How does everyone else seem to be moving forward while you feel like you're stuck in invisible mud? What if I told you that this feeling of being stuck isn't your fault? That it's not a character flaw, it's not about being lazy, and it's not a lack of motivation. It's actually a specific, predictable, and most importantly, changeable response happening inside your brain. It's a biological survival mechanism that's just gone a little haywire in our modern world. In this video, we're going to dive into the simple, science-backed strategies that will help you understand that response, work with your brain, and finally, break free. We're not talking about empty platitudes. We're talking about practical neuroscience you can start using the second this video ends. Section 1. The problem. The invisible cage of stuckness. That feeling of being stuck is something we all go through. It can show up in your career, where you feel like you've hit a plateau and the passion is gone. It can be in your relationships, where the same arguments and patterns play out over and over. Or maybe it's just a general feeling that your life has lost its momentum, that the days are just bleeding into one another without any real purpose or excitement. It's a state of emotional and psychological quicksand where the energy it would take to pull yourself out feels monumental, almost impossible to find. And all the while, there's that nagging voice in your head, isn't there? Just do it already. Why can't you be more disciplined? You're wasting your potential. But all that self-criticism does is make the cage smaller and the bars feel stronger. Studies have shown that harsh self-judgment actually fires up the parts of our brain that interfere with motivation and focus, digging us even deeper into the rut. Beating yourself up doesn't work. It literally makes things worse. The truth is, this feeling of paralysis isn't just in your head, it's a full-body experience. It's your biology, your neurology, and your psychology all working together to keep you exactly where you are. Because, and this is the key, your brain mistakenly believes that staying put is the safest thing to do. It's a well-meaning but totally outdated protective program. All those things we associate with being stuck, procrastination, avoidance, indecision, they aren't signs of weakness. They are survival strategies. But to break free, you first have to understand the warden of this invisible prison, your own brain. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on in there. Section 2. The agitation, the science of your brain unstuck. If you really want to escape the loop, you have to understand why it exists in the first place. This isn't about blaming your brain. It's about getting your hands on its operating manual so you can work with it, not against it. There are 4 big ideas from science that explain why we get so profoundly stuck. First up, the rut of habit. Your brain is obsessed with efficiency. To save energy, it automates literally everything it can. Every time you repeat an action or a thought, you strengthen the neural pathway for it. Think of it like walking through a dense forest. The first time, it's hard work. You have to push through branches and clear a path. But if you walk that same path every single day, you eventually wear a clear, easy-to-follow trail in the ground. Before you know it, walking that path takes 0 effort. That's a habit. This system is fantastic for things like brushing your teeth or driving to work. But it's a disaster when the habit is avoiding a tough task, procrastinating, or beating yourself up. Every time you feel that wave of anxiety about a big project and you choose to scroll on your phone instead, you are carving that neural pathway deeper. You're teaching your brain, when we feel discomfort, we find an immediate distraction. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, but it's working against you. The more you walk the path of avoidance, the more it becomes your brain's superhighway, making the paths for focus and discipline feel overgrown and harder to find. You're not just choosing to procrastinate. Your brain's very structure is making it the path of least resistance. Second, the fear factor. Deep inside your brain, you have a tiny, almond-shaped alarm system called the amygdala. Its main job is to scan for threats and hit the panic button to keep you safe, triggering fight, flight, or freeze. This system was a brilliant invention for our ancestors who were dealing with actual saber-toothed tigers. But here's the catch. Your amygdala can't tell the difference between a real tiger and the imagined threat of failure, rejection, or just the uncertainty of trying something new. So when you think about applying for that dream job, starting a business, or even just having a difficult conversation, your amygdala can see the potential for failure or judgment as a genuine threat to your survival. It then floods your system with stress hormones like cortisol, which can shut down your prefrontal cortex, the logical, planning part of your brain. This is exactly what's happening when you freeze. You feel stuck, unable to move because your brain's emotional, survival-focused security guard has hijacked the cockpit. It's a biological response designed to protect you from danger, but in modern life it often just protects you from growth. Third, the dopamine trap. Let's be honest, procrastination feels good, at least for a minute, and there's a chemical reason for that: dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. Your brain's reward system is wired to make you repeat behaviors that bring immediate gratification. So here's the scenario: you have a difficult, intimidating task in front of you. Just thinking about it might trigger that stress response from your amygdala. The emotional part of your brain is screaming, "This feels bad. Make it stop." And what's an easy way to get an instant hit of relief and pleasure? Check your email, watch a cute animal video, grab a snack. Each of these simple activities provides a tiny squirt of dopamine, which temporarily quiets the discomfort. This creates a vicious cycle. The task causes pain, procrastination provides relief, and the dopamine hit reinforces the act of procrastinating. Your brain learns that avoidance equals reward, which in turn devalues the long-term satisfaction of actually getting things done. It becomes incredibly difficult to choose the delayed payoff of finishing the project over the instant gratification of putting it off. Fourth, the mental wall. Finally, there's that feeling of hitting a mental wall, where you're trying to solve a problem but you're just thinking in circles. You can't see a way forward. Researchers call this a cognitive impasse, and it's often tied to frustration, anxiety, and a complete shutdown of creative problem solving. Your brain gets stuck in a thought loop, unable to find a fresh perspective. While sometimes hitting a wall can come right before a big aha moment, when you're caught in the cycle of frustration, it just feels like being trapped. You feel overwhelmed by the problem, and this feeling of being mentally cornered can trigger that same freeze response we just talked about. It feeds itself. You feel stuck, which makes you anxious, and that anxiety makes it even harder to think clearly and find a way out. When you put all four of these together, the well-worn path of habit, the amygdala's fear alarm, the addictive pull of dopamine, and the frustration of a mental wall, it's no wonder we feel so completely and utterly stuck. It's a perfect storm of neurological forces, all conspiring to keep us right where we are. Now, before we get into the solution, and I promise, there is a very clear and actionable solution, I want you to pause for a moment. If any of this is hitting home, head down to the comments and tell me one area in your life where you felt stuck. Is it your career, a creative project, a personal goal? Sharing it helps to not only acknowledge it for yourself, but also to see that you are not alone in this. We're building a community here, and your story matters. Section 3. The solution. The 6 scientific strategies to break free. Okay, so we've established that feeling stuck is a brain problem, not a character problem. That's the bad news. But the great news is that your brain is not fixed. The very same thing that got you stuck, neuroplasticity, is the exact same thing that will get you out. Neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, to form new connections, and to change based on what you do and think. You can literally build new roads in your brain. So how do we do it? We don't fight the brain. We use its own rules to create change. Here are 6 science-backed strategies to start rewiring your brain and break out of that loop for good. Strategy 1. Become the watcher. You can't change a pattern if you don't know it's happening. The first step is to shift from being a character lost in the drama to being the audience watching it unfold. This is all about self-awareness. Just start noticing. When you feel that pull to procrastinate, what's the trigger? What's the emotion you feel right before you reach for your phone? Is it boredom? Fear? Anxiety? One of the most powerful things you can do here is called affect labeling. It's as simple as it sounds. Just name the emotion you're feeling. Say it out loud or in your head. This is anxiety about the report. This is overwhelm about the decision. Studies from places like UCLA show that the simple act of naming an emotion can calm it down. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, and dials down the activity in your amygdala, that emotional alarm system. You're signaling to your brain that you see what's happening and you're handling it. You become the watcher, realizing you are not your feelings. You are the one observing them. This creates a tiny bit of space between the trigger and your usual reaction, and in that space is your power to choose something different. Strategy 2, use the power of the tiny step. When you're stuck, the idea of a massive life change is completely paralyzing. The secret is to think small, ridiculously small. The goal is to break that cycle of avoidance with a step so tiny your amygdala doesn't even fire its alarm. If you want to start exercising but can't get yourself to the gym, don't make the goal work out for an hour. Make the goal, put on your running shoes. That's it. That's the win for the day. This is a technique called behavioral activation, and it's based on a simple but profound idea. Action comes before motivation, not the other way around. We wait to feel motivated to start, but for a brain in a rut, that feeling may never show up. By taking a tiny, manageable action, you get a small win. That win gives you a little hit of dopamine, not from avoidance, but from actual accomplishment. This starts to build a new neural pathway that says, when I take a small action, I feel good. The next day, maybe you put on your shoes and walk to the end of the driveway. You are slowly and gently paving a new road in your brain, one that connects action with reward. Strategy 3, rewrite your story. Your brain believes the stories you tell it. If your story is that failure is a catastrophe, your brain will trigger a fear response every time you face a challenge. The key is to consciously change the narrative. This is a core idea in cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's about reframing your perspective. Instead of seeing a setback as proof that you're not good enough, reframe it as data. Okay, that didn't work. What did I learn? What data did I just gather for the next attempt? This shifts you from a place of self-judgment to a place of curiosity. You start to treat life more like an experiment and less like a final exam. See that mental wall not as a dead end, but as a signal that your brain needs a different angle. It's a pause, a moment to step back, not a definitive failure. When you change the story you tell yourself about challenges, you change the emotional and chemical response your brain has to them, making it so much easier to stay in the game. Strategy 4, ditch the solo act. Humans are wired for connection. Trying to break out of a rut all by yourself is like trying to push a car out of deep mud alone. It's not impossible, but it is so much easier with a little help. Social support is a powerful engine for change. This can be as simple as finding an accountability partner, a friend you check in with once a week about your goals. Just knowing you have to report your progress to someone can be a huge motivator. And don't be afraid to seek professional help. A therapist or a coach is trained to help you see the patterns that are keeping you stuck and give you tools to break them. Even just talking through your challenges with a trusted friend can spark new ideas and help you find solutions you couldn't see on your own. You don't have to do this alone. Strategy 5, be your own ally. For so many of us, our gut reaction to feeling stuck is to get mad at ourselves. We criticize ourselves for not being more productive or disciplined. But as we've learned, that's completely counterproductive. That inner critic just activates your brain's threat system, dumping more stress into your body and making you feel even more stuck. The antidote is self-compassion. This isn't about letting yourself off the hook. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness you'd give to a friend who was struggling. Acknowledge that this is hard. Validate your own feelings of frustration. And most importantly, celebrate your tiny wins. When you actually do put on your running shoes, give yourself credit for it. This isn't just fluffy, feel-good advice. It's a way to consciously reinforce the new behaviors you're trying to build. Self-compassion calms your nervous system, reduces the fear response, and creates the feeling of internal safety you need to try new things. A brain that feels safe is a brain that's ready to change. Strategy 6. Hack your habits. Since old habits are the ruts in the road keeping you stuck, you have to be intentional about building new ones. This is about redesigning your environment to disrupt the old cues. If you get stuck scrolling on your phone in bed every morning, charge your phone in another room. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow. You're consciously making good habits the easy option and bad habits the harder one. You can also shake your brain out of its autopilot mode with small novelties. Take a different route to work. Try a new coffee shop. Eat lunch outside instead of at your desk. And when you do perform a new, good behavior, reward yourself immediately. This uses your brain's own dopamine system to your advantage. Finish that one hard task? Give yourself 10 minutes of guilt-free relaxation. By pairing a new action with a positive reward, you are actively strengthening that new neural pathway, making it more likely you'll take that path again tomorrow. Feeling stuck is one of the most frustrating things a person can go through. It can feel like you're in an invisible prison and you've lost the key, but the key has been with you all along. That feeling isn't a personal failure. It's a biological signal. It's your brain running on old survival software, trying to protect you from things it thinks are threats. But you are not your brain's automatic reactions. By understanding the science, the power of habits, the fear-driven amygdala, the dopamine trap, and the mental wall, you can stop fighting against yourself and start working with yourself. The solution isn't some giant, terrifying leap. It's a series of small, intentional steps. It's becoming the watcher of your own mind. It's taking one tiny action. It's rewriting the stories you tell yourself. It's reaching out for support. It's treating yourself with kindness. And it's consciously building the habits that serve the life you actually want to live. You have the power to rewire your brain. The path out of the rut is paved with awareness and small, consistent actions. It won't happen overnight, but it absolutely will happen. You have the ability to break free, to get your momentum back, and to start moving confidently toward your dreams. The first step is simply deciding to try. If this video gave you a new perspective or a tool you can use, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. We explore the science and strategy behind personal growth every week. Thank you for being here, and remember, you are not stuck. You are just paused before your next breakthrough.